Hello and welcome to Jazz Across the Pond. Jazz interviews reimagined. A brand new and a very exciting bringing together of two great nations. It's jazz talking like you've never seen or heard it before. Now let's bring on my partner in crime. A warm welcome to Jazz Across the Pond from me, Roger Lee, aka the Jazz Cat.
And I'm Kevin Goolsby, and they call me Mr. G.
Ha ha ha, Mr. G, the Benz to my Mercedes.
Oh, Roger, I take it you're not talking about decompressing too quickly following a deep sea dive, right?
Nope, not at all. I'm talking about my new toy.
I know, and most people aren't aware, but other than Roger's passion for jazz, he also loves Formula One racing and apparently well-built cars, too. So I'm having to indulge him a little bit. So go ahead and tell him about your car, Roger.
Well, it's a very, very nice car, but to be politically correct, there are other cars on the market. It's not just Mercedes. There are other cars. Anyway, so Ed, last week's show, Kevin, what can we say? Last week's show.
There's a lot we can say. First of all, when you talk about two old friends, I mean, Mark and David have worked together on and off for 37 years, not only collaborating on songs as a composer and a lyricist, and then working together as a vocalist and a producer. But until this year, they had never recorded a project as a duo. So we had a great interview regarding the making of a new jazz classic with two old friends.
And there is the album there. It is a wonderful album. We both of us endorse it completely. If you just come in from work and you're a bit wound up and you pour yourself a nice little drink or something, put this on. It's 10 of the songs are old classics, favorites of their composers or tunes, and 3 original tracks. And it was a wonderful chat. There was yourself. We had the 2 of them in California and that. And no, it was a brilliant chat. And it was lovely to talk to the elder statesmen. And I'd like to think that we're now their new friends. So,
absolutely. Well, we'd better be after that interview.
Now, Kevin, if it's not, if you don't mind me saying so, but I mean, you got your coffee there, you're okay. But you're looking a bit stressed tonight. You sure you're okay?
Well, actually, I'm wound up a little tight, to be honest.
Right. Okay.
Why do you ask?
Well, I'm just a little bit concerned because we're ready now to invite this week's guest on, but you just appear just that little tinge of stress. I tell you what we're going to do. I've got an ideal situation. Dr. Lee here is going to prescribe to you now, all right, a track from our featured artist tonight. By the way, he was born in Havana, Cuba. He now lives in Las Vegas. He's in the waiting room. He's waiting for us to come on. He is the most wonderful Latin jazz guitarist. And we got an album here from 1992. The album is called The Dreamer. It's Rene Toledo. And I tell you what, we're going to give you 3 minutes before we bring Mr. Toledo into the studio with us. Just sit back, close your eyes, and we're going to play the most wonderful track. It's from his 1992 album, The Dream, and on the GRP label. And this song is called This Song Is For You. And hopefully, at the end of this, you'll be totally relaxed. Have a listen to this.
All right, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
This is Rene Toledo, Grammy Award-winning guitarist. And you are watching me on Jazz Across the Pond with the Jazz Cat and Mr. G. I hope you enjoy it as much as I gonna enjoy talking to you. Have a wonderful day and love you all, guys.
One. So very good evening. Well, Kevin.
Yes.
I know I was trying to make you relax. I think you relaxed a little bit too much. What a fabulous track. Would you agree?
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. I got lost in the music, so I apologize. Yes, very nice. Very
What
nice.
a beautiful track. And I'll tell you something even better than that. We got the man himself. He's there with us here from all the way from Las Vegas. Ladies and gentlemen, this week's very special guest, international Latin jazz guitarist who has won several Grammy Awards, all the way from Las Vegas. Ladies and gentlemen and followers of Jazz Across the Pond, please join us as we welcome the wonderful Rene Toledo.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, the crowd goes wild. Yes.
Thank you very much for having me in your program.
No problem at all. It's been a
You're very
delight. I've been a big fan. I know Kevin as well. We've been a big fan of yours for many, many years, and it's great that you've taken time out of your day today and to join us. We've got a lot to talk about. We really have.
Well,
Right. Okay. Rene Toledo, born in Havana, Cuba. You began your guitar studies at the age of 10 years old. At the age of 12, you studied classical guitar with musical theory and musical appreciation. Rene, please, would you tell us more about your childhood in Cuba, your introduction to music, and did you come from a musical family?
well, my mother used to play piano. She went to school, graduated of classical piano. But the interesting thing is, I never thought become a musician. I used to be a baseball player. I played baseball and chess. Believe it or not, when I was 9 years old, I earned went to a competition. I become like second or third place, something like that for chess. And then, in Cuba, sports are very important.
Yes,
They
very
offer,
much so.
they offered me like a scholarship, playing baseball or playing chess.
Wow.
But I decided to become a guitarist. Maybe I make a mistake.
Oh, no, I don't think so.
No. Your guitar music is that is what you're. The baseball, I tell you what, and chess, all the rest of it. No, guitar is what you were made for, and we're going to prove that when we play your tracks tonight.
But very, very interesting because I decided to play guitar. I was playing baseball, and I come to my house. I talked to my mother. I was all dirty, from the field, and I said, I want to play guitar. That's it. And she said, oh yeah. And my grandmother found somebody else and bought me like a very bad acoustic guitar, and I started playing by myself and trying to imagine whatever I thought that I was playing. Then, to a connection to a friend of mine, they recommended me a private teacher, Leopoldina Nunez. She was the one, and thanks to her, because the way she teach popular music and classical. Then I was learning to play and sing, believe it or not, and playing classical guitar. Then there was a point that I advanced very much playing classical. And she told me, you should go to a conservatory, and then I went to the conservatory. I got a master in classical guitar. Because jazz in Cuba was prohibited. Was an imperialist music. And when you play jazz, you were penetrated ideologically by the imperialist Yankee. That's the phrase they used to use when you play jazz or rock or something like that. There was all underground music.
Right.
I learned to play jazz because people talk about it. They told me, you improvise in the same play because look at this, the only records I have in my whole life when I was living in Cuba until I was 21 years old was Manos Gypsies or Jimi Hendrix. That was my only record, Then I started playing jazz because a friend of mine told me, you think you play great the guitar? Because I was a rock player, with a nylon string guitar. I didn't have electric guitar. There's no electric guitar available. And he played me a bossa nova. I never forget that. And he told me, now improvise here. And I couldn't do anything. And for me, that was a shock. I said, well, it's a different way to play. And I started getting curiosity about the chords and things, and I started finding ways. There was one very good guitar player in Cuba that played jazz. That was a guitar player that played with the Irakere band, Carlos Emilio Morales. And he was so nice to record some albums for me. I have a little tape recorder, because all this, you couldn't find it. There was no books, nothing, you know.
Right.
And that was the first time I heard somebody playing jazz. Then I developed immediately, changed my way of playing, and started playing jazz. Then at 17 years old, I started playing with a group in Cuba. That was the only band legally authorized to play jazz, because the guy name was Felipe Dulcides. He was a piano player. He had a quintet like George Shearing, you know, but he was a political prisoner. He spent 20 years in jail. That means he was marked. Everything there was political. But then I was playing, and he hired me. I was surprised. I never expected him, to hire me. Then I start now learning, really playing jazz with people that play jazz. That was my first opportunity to play jazz in Cuba.
I'm sorry, but I was gonna ask you about that, because a lot of people don't realize that Felipe Dulcides was not only his quintet and his orchestra, but he was a famous Cuban pianist and arranger and producer and band leader.
Amazing.
And I mean, like you said, he was the only one that was allowed to officially play jazz.
Exactly, but officially because that, and mostly all the, I'm not great, but I'm talking about all the guys, mostly everybody that played with Felipe Dulcides he was like a Miles Davis in Cuba,
Yes.
You play with Felipe, then after that, you are a good player, Everybody that played with him and he gave me my second album. That was Boss Guitar by Wes Montgomery.
I mean, that's the second time that's come up.
And Wes Montgomery. That's my two biggest influences,
That is the second time, isn't it, Roger? We've had a jazz artist say that Wes Montgomery's Boss Guitar, that project had such a profound effect.
Yeah.
Well, Rene, the other thing is that people may not know is that at age 18, you launched a very successful group called Afro Cuba.
Oh, yes.
Which melds African rhythmic elements with Cuban-centric jazz music, and you were awarded the UNAC Award for Best Cuban Band in 1977 by the Association of Cuban Writers and Artists.
Yes, we went to a festival, and we earned the right to record an album. Now, to me, that was one of the best band ever in Cuba, We were all young kids from the school, 17 years. I was one of the older ones, and I was 18 years old. Then we created that because, remember, the way I explained playing jazz in Cuba was prosecuted. We have to find a way to, like they said, we were recovering the roots, of the Cuban music. We mixed the jazz with the Cuban folklore, and Abacuá, Yoruba, and then we got a great band. But at the same time, they destroyed the band. The government destroyed the band. We had never the opportunity to do anything. We just did that album and played one concert in a Cuban carnival. Imagine a jazz group playing in a Cuban carnival. People were like crazy, like looking at us like, where's this guy coming from? From Mars or what's going on? We want to dance.
No, they're Cuban. They're Cuban.
We want to dance,
Oh,
yeah.
Well, it was then in 1980 you left Cuba and your homeland, motherland, and you moved to the United States, to Florida, where your musical career really exploded and took off. You became a studio musician and a music producer with international recognition. You were appointed professor of the jazz guitar at the Florida International University between 1994 and 1997. Now, Rene, please tell us what was your decision? What was your primary decision to move to the United States, and the transitional change you had? It must have been a real cultural shock for you.
Well, when you live in Cuba, you have that oppression. Many people try to leave the country. If you see how many people die crossing the sea, in a raft, you have to be desperate. And I was at the point that I was teaching because I graduated very early age in Cuba. And part of my payment to the government to be able to study was teaching 3 years, whatever they sent me. And I was teaching in a school that was called Escuela de Superación Profesional. It was a school where professional musicians used to go to get a better level. That is very interesting. You see, and it's a great idea. People that play bands, but they didn't have the opportunity to go to schools, they have to improve, to get a better salary by the government, to improve their technique. And they used to go to that school. And I was a very young guy. I was 19 years old, 18, teaching old guys. They was very funny because they were famous artists, and I was just a young guy playing. And, it was very funny that happened in Cuba, what is called the El Mariel. That was the time that a lot of Cuban defect from Cuba because some people steal a bus and crush it against the Peruvian embassy and ask for asylum, political asylum.
Right.
And Castro get mad and said, I don't give a damn. All Cubans want to go, they can leave. And in 2 hours, 100,000 people get inside the Peruvian embassy. Okay? That means, if he's right, I don't know, maybe we are wrong, but 100,000 people in 2 hours inside an embassy represent that a lot of people want to leave the country. Then he opened the doors for everybody to leave, and Cubans in Miami start renting boats and ships and things and crossing the sea to pick up their families. That's a very interesting time for us. Because Castro is the way he was,
Right.
He said, I don't want to let everybody live like this. He used to trade for each family that you try to pick up. In Cuba, you had to take 40 people from jail and mental hospitals and send them to Miami to destroy the Cuban immigration. But at that point, I have an aunt, Marta Arias, my only aunt, that spent a lot of money trying to send a cruise ship to a boat to pick me up.
Yes.
And I was so unlucky that the day after she spent like $40,000 trying to get me and my mother out of Cuba, the day the Secret Service came to my house from the Cuban government and told me, you have somebody that's going to pick you up and take me to the concentration camp called El Mosquito. The day I supposed to take the raft, they closed that and they put me in jail for 3 months until the Cuban government did a deal with the United States. But for me, it was better because after that 3 months, I flew from Cuba to Miami with a right to have a residence. That all the other Cubans couldn't travel or do nothing. Then immediately, after a year, 1 day, I was a resident. I started traveling the world and recording and doing things, and then my life changed totally. Right. It was a shock because in Cuba, remember I used to play with Felipe Dulcides and Afro Cuba. Then when I came to Miami, I had to survive.
And start all over.
All over. People told me, you know what is La Pollera Colorada? And I said, no. That's a Colombian song that many people like here in town, to play and survive. Right. And I said, well, I never play any of this. Then, thanks God, I learned to play jazz, folk, rock, blues. I play a lot of different styles. That if you can see it that way, that made me slow to decide what I want to play.
Right.
At some certain point of my life, I was Joe Pass. I played like Joe Pass. But in fact, I was doing an album with a singer tribute to Joe Pass and Ella Fitzgerald, and it's great. It's just guitar and voice, amazing. But then I get bored, and I become George Benson. And I get bored, I go back to Jimi Hendrix. And I get bored, I start playing funk. Then John McLaughlin. And with learning all of this, because I was anxious to listen to music that I couldn't listen before, I start then develop my own way to play. I said, well, I don't have to sound like nobody. I had to sound like myself, you know?
Yes.
And thanks to writing music helped me too. And one more thing I'm going to tell you about Cuba before. When I was playing with Felipe Dulcides, I had the opportunity to then later to get a jazz guitar. Was a Hofner from the 50s. Then in Cuba there was something called recuperation of the values of the state. That when the family left the country, everything that is in the house become to property of the government. No?
Yes.
And maybe somebody owned that guitar many years ago, you know? When they left it, they left the country, the guitar belonged to the government. And I was teaching before my last year of finishing the school, I was teaching a group of people that used to work for the government, but they like music, and they sent me as a supervisor to help them have a band, you know? And they have that guitar there. And I was in love, you know? I said, oh my God, if I have this guitar for me, then they didn't want to work anymore. They didn't want to play anymore because they were ministers and things, you know, important people.
Right.
And one day I was walking, I find one of these guys, and we start talking, hey, how you doing? Oh, I heard that you were with Afro-Cuban. Oh, yes, I went Afro-Cuban. What's going on? And I said, you know what? What happened with that beautiful guitar? And the guy told me, I have it. He kept it. And I said, do you want it to sell it to me? And he said, yes, give me 300 pesos. And my grandmother gave me 300 pesos. I gave it to him. And that was my only guitar.
Well, I tell you what, your story.
Let me finish.
Really,
with that little guitar that I didn't have strings, I was playing with Felipe Dulcides. We used to do the strings, peeling a cable from the telephone company. We peel it and we get the metal inside and do the strings with that. That means my first string was too hard, the second was too soft, the third one too low. Then I have the other three that the government used to give it to us. And that I was playing there, and an American cruise ship had an accident, and they had to stop in Havana. And there was a guitar player named James Stonebreaker. I will never forget that. He went to the club. I was playing with Felipe, and he said, let me play. And I give him my guitar. And the guy couldn't play. I said, how can you play with this? I don't know. What kind of strings are these?
It's like razor wire.
Exactly, they were razors. And he plays so beautiful. I said, wow, what kind of chords are you playing? Because I never see a book. I used to play with big chords, you know, like Spanish theme, you know.
Right.
He said, you never see a jazz book or anything? I said, no, never. Then he told me, I will gonna send you strings and books. The only thing I want you to send me some Cuban cigars. I'm telling you these stories because I want you to understand how hard for us at the time was to learn.
Well,
then the guy left.
It's a most amazing story. It is just incredible. We're just going to take a very, very quick break now because it is just fabulous. I mean, we're sitting here just speechless about what you went through to get there. We started the show with your 1992 album, the wonderful album, The Dreamer, on the GRP label. And you get that sort of credential, you know it's good. To have the Dave Grusin label, I mean, that's good. We're just going to take a very, very quick break from this fabulous interview with another Rene Toledo's album. And I'm going to see if I can pronounce it. The track we're going to play is Mestizo?
Mestizo, yes.
Mestizo.
Right. We're now going to play a track, Mestizo, from the album of the same name. Rene Toledo will be back with this fascinating interview. Stay
Thank
with
you.
us, Jazz Across the Pond. We'll be straight back with you after you listen to this track.
Thank you.
Umoneri mi canara guaramina Oiva en Barenguigo Ireme de Gama Piongarori Barenguigo Moneri neri neri
You've just been listening to the most wonderful track from our star guest tonight, all the way from Las Vegas. Another great, great album. Now, let's just go through some of your credentials. It's the most fascinating interview. Both Kevin and myself were just sitting there going, this is incredible. But let's just go through. You've participated in hundreds of recorded sessions with international renowned artists, such as, and we had to scale it down. We're going to mention Gloria Estefan, Frank Ocean, Pharrell, Shakira, Carlos Santana, Celine Dion, Ricky Martin, Julio Iglesias, Miley Cyrus, Vanessa Williams, the late Natalie Cole, Jennifer Lopez, Christina Aguilera, Jane Monheit, the Manhattan Transfer, Jose Feliciano, Patty Austin. My daughter will be very impressed with that one there. And of course, a fellow Cuban, Arturo Sandoval, just to mention a few. Now, you're obviously a man very much in demand as a famous jazz guitarist. What do you feel that you have this amazing collection of artists there? What do you feel that you bring to the table that they want, apart from your wonderful style of jazz guitar? What do you bring to the table for them?
Well, you know, I've been lucky, as I told you before, thanks to have to make a living. I learned to play many different styles, and I've been very recognized for a nylon string guitar. You know, because I have a master in classical guitar, I have a very nice, beautiful sound with a nylon string guitar. And we work with many different artists, and people want what I do. You know, I don't know. It's not about the jazz. When I'm working for the studio guys, I just want to play what I think the track needs. You know, that make me for people to appreciate what I do. I don't have any ego, anything. You know, I come, and if I had to do ding ding, then you're gonna say, "Wow, what an idea!" That's what I thought that was going in the track, and I have a great equipment. I have a lot of guitars. Got a 58 Les Paul, a 64, 335, different nylon strings, but you know, and I set up a great rig. That way I can have the sound that you're looking for, and I make people happy. You know, I go to a session, I can read very well, and even if lately, mostly all the recording sessions, you never have to read anything. You know, and you have to just to create. You know, but that's what playing popular music made me, you know, very useful for people for different style of recording. You know, I remember that I used to work with Phil Ramon, a very renowned producer, and that was funny. You know, I'm not trying to sell myself, but he used to call me and say, "Rene, you are like 6, 7 guys in one person." And I said, "Why you call me that?" He said, "Because in New York, I have great guitar players. You know, if I had to do a big band album, I call somebody else. I had to do a rock album, I call this guy. But when I come here to Miami, I do everything just with you. And you separate the styles. When you're playing straight ahead, it's just straight ahead. Then I bring to Brazilian music, and it's like I am in Brazil. And I didn't even know that. And I got another friend named Alfredo Paixão, and he's a great bass player, that he used to tell me that too. Rene, you play Brazilian music like a Brazilian. And I only heard it, you know, in the albums. I tried to, we mentioned that I cry too when I hear music that impressed me. I just tried to apport something to the music. And when I listen to the music, I try to listen to the soul of the music. I'm not trying to imitate this guy or how fast he play or how this, I listen, what is the feel of this music? And that's what I think I can play a lot of different styles, you know.
And I think that's also the reason why over the years you picked up 6 Grammy nominations, and including 3 Grammys that you picked up with Arturo Sandoval as guitarist, and that was in 1994, 96, and 98. But you also won a Grammy as a producer and songwriter with Gloria Estefan on her Caribbean Soul project back in 2000, and a Grammy with Shakira as the guitarist on her 2006 project, Oral Fixation. So Roger and I just wanted to get that in and say congratulations to you for those awards. And then you also have a relationship, we'd already mentioned Arturo Sandoval, but Roger and I have also developed a relationship with Ed Kaye.
Oh, yes.
And so we know those 2 individuals had a significant impact on you as you transitioned when you came to the United States.
Yes. Yeah, I have a great time playing with Arturo. You know?
Oh, we're going to be playing a track from that to finish the show off tonight. Can I just jump in just 1 second, because you're saying you're a person, you have there's no ego with you, and I can endorse that, because for the last so many years I've been doing a jazz mood show, and each week I was doing a featured artist. It wasn't an interview as such; it was just a featured artist, and you are the only person that when I finished the show and I walked back into my house, you rang me from Las Vegas to thank me for having you as my featured artist on my show.
No,
And that, for me, that was just like, do you know what? That is wonderful.
no, it's a really pleasure to be with you guys, and I really thank you for the support you are giving me. You know, I haven't been too lucky with my career. You know, I think the music that I do is very original and sound different than many people. You know, and I would love to be able to play it. What happened with me with my music is when I did Mestizo, the Mestizo album hit the top 10 in the United States, and the Dreamer, yes, and the Dreamer too. You know, the Dreamer was number 2, number 3, and I never play, never get a management. Nobody want to hire me. Then I was doing that sessions. I played with Shakira. I was in London with Shakira recording a music for a movie, 3,000 euros a day. And I play jazz, I play $75 a night. You know, that was very sad for me because I am not an idiot. I know the music that I write. I maybe know the best guitar because nobody's the best. You have something to offer. You like it. There are many great players, but I write some kind of music that is totally different than many people. The Dreamer is more common, but if you listen to Mestizo and Among Friends, it's a different way. And I think I should have a little space to be able to play my music. You know, that's the only thing I'm sad about it, because but I justify that doing so many sessions. You know, I was at the point that I said I don't want to play jazz anymore. You know, because I remember I used to play in a club, and I was playing with a quartet, the same people that play with in the Dreamer. And the owner told me, you know what? I'm paying too much money for you guys here. And they was paying me $75 a night.
Wow.
But I was making $2,500 a day with Jennifer Lopez and $3,000 with Shakira. And I said one day, you know what? I don't want to say the word that I said, but I was very depressed. I said, well, what I have to do to be able to play my music. And every time I play, people love it. You know, it's because it's a combination of playing plus the writing, you know. Yeah. There are great players that don't write. There are great writers that don't play. And I have my own.
I'm going to have to, Rene, sorry to interrupt you because time is running away with us here and it's just so fascinating. We've still got, I know I've got a question for yourself. I know Kevin's got a question for yourself and that. So, and I'm just conscious aware of time. You've participated in most important jazz festivals around the world, including, let's just summarize this, the North Sea Jazz Festival, the Montreux Jazz Festival, Newport Jazz Festival, and then we have New Orleans. We have the Playboy Jazz Festival. We won't talk about that. We have the Milan, Chicago, Jacksonville, Stockholm, Rome, Geneva, Iceland, Marbella. We have Ronnie Scott's in London. Brilliant. Paris, the Blue Note in New York, Berlin, concerts and the masterclass at the Florida International University and the masterclass at the Dame Notre Dame University. Now, very quickly, you've obviously played entire around the world now. You've played with some amazing artists now. What makes you tick? Is it performing live on stage or is it in the studio?
Well, I love to play live. I love to play live. I like both. You know, the studio is very interesting, but it's nothing like play live. You know, I like both, but listen, play live. You know, I travel all these festivals mostly with Arturo Sandoval, and I play in some of the other New Orleans Jazz and Heritage with my own band and different places. You know, but when you travel the world and play your own music and you see the reaction of the people, that's nothing like that, you know. Right. The studio is great because, you know, you record with so many people, you know, and you listen to the tracks and say, oh, that's me, you know, and that's so good. And people say, oh, the guitar is great, you know, but it's more like a personal thing, you know. Yeah, because you're not going out telling people, you know, I record with Shakira, this, I record. I never say anything. You're going to find it, that's fine. But when you play live, it's the people, you know, it's the reaction. Even I like the small clubs. Let me tell you, I like I love the Ronnie Scott. We used to go there many times, and we have great times there. But the festivals are great too. But I can't wait to go back to London with my own band.
Yes, we understand. But one of the things I wanted to ask you was, you know, we've talked about a lot of the artists that you've worked with, but you know, I've been very moved and actually devastated by the loss of Chick Corea of late.
Oh my
And
God.
I know you had an opportunity to play with Chick. And what I wanted to ask you was, a lot of musicians have commented about Chick's brilliance, not only as a composer, but of his highly technical skills as a performer.
Wow.
I mean, it's well known that, you know, Chick scored all of his music and had strict rules about not deviating from the score. So my question to you is, at any time did you ever witness that firsthand where Chick did not want people to improvise but stick to the score? And what was it like being in studio with Chick Corea?
Well, for me, the experience was totally different because when I played with Chick Corea was when we were recording Flight to Freedom for Arturo. He was a very nice person, you know, very relaxed, very quiet. And what really impressed me was that we play a track like 4 or 5 times because Arturo loved fast music, you know, and he wanted faster. And we play a track and Chick sit there and play. They work on drums. Anthony Yash on bass, was playing guitar. And Chick film and play the track and play an amazing solo. But imagine the solo was this way. Then the next track, he played a solo totally complete different this way. And then the other track he went this way. And the other track he went, I couldn't believe it. It's every time he play is a brilliant idea that he developed. And I was amazed. I said, because I play, but I try to play because funny thing is, when I improvise, I didn't know the notes I was playing many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But I know what I have in my mind, where is in the guitar. Then after I play, I know it's a C, it's a D. But before that, I listening to my mind connected to my guitar. I know where is all that. Then after I play, there are these notes. Chick is that way, but I couldn't believe it. Amazing. And everything sound Chick Corea. He got like a label, you know, like a stamp. Right. No confusion at all. He was great, you know, great. And so humble, so quiet, you know. Yeah, I don't understand how some people have so much ego, you know.
Yeah.
I don't understand. The greatest. You know,
before we finish, because time is really not on our side now, and I would carry on this interview for another couple of hours easily. I know Kevin would endorse that as well. I would say I'm a little bit disappointed. I've worn this shirt especially. There's guitars all over it. It's one especially for you, Rene. Okay.
Great. Yeah.
They must be for your guitars on as well. Anyway, right. Our researchers, because we've been talking about how you came from Cuba and how you came to Florida and all that stuff, and we've learned incredible. But we may have a new one on you now. A little bird has just told us from our again a fellow artist who has appeared on Jazz Across the Pond, Mr. Ed Calle, originally from Caracas, Venezuela, that the two of you are in talks about doing an album together.
Oh, he told you that.
The cat is out of the bag. The cat is out of the bag.
Oh my God. He called me. He said he wanted to do a duet album, you know, just guitar.
I think that's marvelous.
I hope so.
I am all for that.
Still waiting for him to start.
He'll start and you finish, and it'll be perfect.
And we want to have the first play of it. We want to have the first premiere of it.
Of course. Ed is, to me, one of the best musicians I ever met in my life.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Great person.
Awesome.
He's a genius. He's a super smart guy.
Yes,
but playing musically, he's intense. You know, very.
We're looking forward to that project more than you know. So we appreciate you being here with us today.
And I start recording another album for me too. Okay, I had 2 songs done, but you know how the situation now with the coronavirus, the economy is.
Yeah,
I had to stop it, but I got 2 songs that I start. I want to do a little more jazzy album now.
Ooh,
good.
We
look forward to it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jazz Across the Pond, Jazz Interviews Reimagined. We have had the most amazing pleasure to talk to the man himself, Mr. Rene Toledo, all the way from Las Vegas. It is incredible. I recommend anybody goes through. We're going to finish off the show with a track from the album called Among Friends. It is a brilliant album, and the friends include Arturo Sandoval and Ed Calle, amongst others. Ladies and gentlemen, we can't thank you enough. Mr. Rene Toledo, a massive round of applause for you. Thank you, sir.
By the way, say hi to Roger, okay?
Which Roger are we talking about? Because I'm Roger.
No, I don't. Roger, yeah. You look different in the picture. You have black hair.
He looks too young now, doesn't he? It's the shirt, it's the haircut, it's the mustache. Don't even go there. Don't even go there.
You're
totally black hair.
Yeah, you're talking to the Jazz Cat. This is Roger Lee.
I know.
I'm the Jazz Cat.
I know. Sorry, that's what I said.
Well, nobody confuses the two of us, that's for sure. But it's been a pleasure, Rene. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Kevin, say goodnight, Kevin.
Good night, Kevin.
Wonderful day.
And this is a good night from him.
Mm-hmm.